So please welcome back to the show, Andrew Genovese. Welcome back, Andrew.
Awesome to be back here with you, Ashley. It's a pleasure. I'm
It's like a
excited for the conversation.
full circle moment. I've been reflecting on, I remember finding you when I had you on the first time in November of 2022. Here we are in March of 2024. And I look at my life since I started this podcast in 2020, like it's like it's mind blowing of my evolution, my growth, how I think now, my questions. I couldn't even listen to my questions. I would probably go, "Oh my gosh, Ashley, you asked that back in 2020." Like it's just I'm a different person. And I know you are too. And I know we're always evolving. And when when I meet someone like you, that's really your mission is to like you're this light in the world that's so authentic and real, and you're truthful. I mean, everything that you exude truth. It's just like that's probably what I was drawn to when I first saw you and 2 years ago. And now that I've like watched your journey and now knowing why we're on this again to open up where you've been in the last since we last saw each other. But our focus today is on this amazing product that we talked about on that podcast, Andrew. And was thinking about it today, going, it is so funny because I remember wanting to talk about ASEA Redox Molecules. Because I remember listening to a something that maybe a YouTube or a podcast that you had talked about when you fasted and you did that hike and you went up and all you did was drink the ASEA Redox. I'm like, I wonder what that is. So I started going down that rabbit hole to understand what you were talking about before I interviewed you that day, because I love to uncover all my things before I meet somebody that I'm going to interview. So I remember going, wow, that sounds amazing. And I am all about health, all the, anything that can um, make me healthier. And I know I'm 55 years old and I've always been like that. I mean, I'm from the beginning. I'm not just because I'm older, but I've always been this health girl. And so I remember saying, we talked about it a little bit. And then I ordered it and I kept every day, Richard and I drinking our Redox, ASEA molecules. I say it that way just so it's these Redox molecules, but the name of it is ASEA. And we do it. We've done it every day since. And I look back and go, oh my gosh, that was in 11 of 22. And then I find you again, divine timing, saying, what do you think? Like I said, well, I drink it every day. And you're like, well, you should at least have a business. So you're like, so you're not paid, you could have this business. I said, okay, perfect. So instead of ordering it, I just started a business with it. So I might as well. I order it every month anyway. We're always ordering it. So I look back and I think, now understanding more about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Andrew came into my life for ASEA. That was the reason you came into my life. And I am going to shout it to the universe, because when I find something that makes a difference in the health of others, in the health of me and my family, I could, oh gosh, just it's like it bubbles up inside of me like I know it is you, and I can't wait for everyone to hear your story, but I'm leading up to it. But it bubbles up in me like I want to explode, because I feel like everyone needs to have this. Everyone needs to understand why it's in their life at this time. And I feel like I read, how you said you had you pray before an interview, and I do my prayer and my automatic writing. And I wrote in it, and I bring in my spirit team, and I just kind of slowly automatic write. And it said, this moment is being orchestrated in the exact divine. It's divine. It just kept saying it's divine. And that's how I feel. It is divine. And I want, it's like your breath work and, you're just this like mountain man in Washington. And I'm from Washington. So all the people listening, he's from Washington, or lives there, not from, but you just have this neat um, like element about you that is just like this man in the woods in this log cabin. Oh, that just seeks truth. So will you please, and I'm drawn to that, and I know people are too, and I think that's why when you said something that you believe in so much, I just knew I had to, because I was like, it's like I have to do what I know you believe in because I know it's the truth. That's how I feel. So take it from there, Andrew. How is that?
A lot of places I could go with this. So yeah, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of ASEA Redox Light Molecules, but it's really hard to articulate in words the level of service that it has allowed me to embody through this product, this technology magnetizing into my field. And I've really been waiting for this all my life. And when it came to me, it was just, there was so many spiritual, multidimensional things happening within me that just, it literally ticked every single box of my message, who I am, what I stand for, what it does, its connection to the breath, and I was just mind blown. I was just mind blown, and there was parts of me that was like, God, why didn't this come into my field in 2020? I would have killed to know about this at that time. But obviously, again, everything is happening in the perfect divine timing, and so to know about it now, I feel eternally grateful just to be able to share it in this capacity. And so basically, in 2022. We found out my dog from our veterinarian, she had terminal brain, fill in the blank. You can figure it out.
Right. I don't like exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, and mind you, everyone, nothing that we say in here is medical advice or medical claims. We're just sharing information. Okay. So my story basically was, I was in the Andes Mountains of Peru. We got introduced to ASEA 10 days after I found out that our dog was extremely ill with, yeah, abnormal cell growth, call it.
Hmm.
And it was devastating. We love our dog like you would love your son or your daughter. It's like that kind of depth of a connection. It's a depth of a connection that most people can't understand. And that's the level of connection that I have with the animal kingdom.
Yes,
And
me, I
so,
I connect with that because I have my dogs, and when I heard that, I said I would do the same for mine because they're like my children.
yeah. Yeah, I mean they're our soul family, like
Right.
soul on a soul level. We're a multidimensional being. So it was just devastating, and I went into like even feeling into the grief of her leaving in the coming weeks. It was just like I just couldn't even go there with everything else I was processing at the time. So I put out the call. I just said, God, just give me something that's going to save my dog's life. And this is what showed up in this blue bottle. Literally only 10 days later. I didn't put out a call. I didn't put out anything on my stories. I didn't say, hey, does anyone have any ideas? Literally a DM in my inbox just came in 10 days later and said, hey, Andrew, there's a new product and technology that is going to make a huge impact on the health and wellness space of this planet over the next coming decades. And I really think you need to know about it. And
Hmm.
I was like, I'm listening. I
Right.
I, I immediately felt, listen, pay attention to this. And so as soon as she started explaining it to me and just said, redox signaling molecules is literally powering all life on Earth. No life on Earth would exist without redox. It's a very universal frequency, and it's impossible for it to not work for any human, animal, plant, tree, blade of grass on the planet. All cell life. No life would exist without redox. So if you go to the fact that one, the body is salt water, right?
Right.
We are made of salt water. Prana, electricity, could not flow in the body without the salt, without the NaCl, sodium chloride, or saline. That's why when someone's extremely intoxicated, right, they put saline back in the body. It's what we're made of.
Right.
So I just tuned into this frequency of like the ocean, the salt water, life, redox, and I was just like, all these just connections just started happening within me, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And I was just, and then yeah, we watched our dog go from anytime she'd go in the backyard to like, go potty, she'd fall over and over
Oh,
again. She could barely walk from the kitchen to the living room without like just like going into walls. And she was peeing and pooping in her bed just constantly. And it was awful. It was really tough. And I had to constantly just like acknowledge the sadness of her potentially leaving. And I just trusted so deeply that I just knew that this came into my field for a reason. And so, in essence, a couple of months later, we started seeing a lot of improvements, literally just like 9, 10 weeks later. And I was like, wow, this is doing amazing stuff for her. 5, 6 months later, I mean, this little 5 pound dog is zipping down the hallway. She's doing spins. She's like, she's just got agility that was not even, I mean, when you're watching a being go from like decrepit, barely even
right.
able to walk, to
Oh,
like zipping down the hallways and spinning around, I just couldn't believe it. And the first thing was, as it progressed, was the whole world needs to know about this. The whole world needs to know that this product exists, ASEA exists. And that once people do know that exists, it's up to them, whatever they want to do, but suffering becomes an option
right.
once they know that this exists, because it is that powerful. Zero toxicity, zero contraindications. Not a single human or animal can be allergic to it. So I just felt into, wow, that this is really, there's so many products out there. A lot of stuff that people are pushing, honestly, is not legit. And
Right.
there are companies that are not in high integrity. The stuff that they're sourcing is very average, and they're not putting the ultimate number one in the first in line, and that's service, and that's people, and that's love, and that's heart, and that's soul. And for me, as I started to really just continue to tune into the frequency of redox, it was just there is nothing like this on the planet. There's
Right.
nothing like this. There's no Bluetooth involved. There's no giant med bed technology with plugins going into an old system that's going to be forever gone.
Right.
It's crystalline. It's light. It's where we're moving into, and it's not going anywhere for many decades.
Right.
And one question that I get often, uh, uh, Ashley, is people will be like, "Hey, Andrew, so this is like really amazing. I'm really stoked, but what about big pharma? Like, what if they come down and I know anything that was like super powerful, they've shut down?" And I said, "Not this."
Right.
Big pharma attempted to buy this company in 2010, and Big Pharma came to ASEA headquarters, and they were flying out there, ASEA Big Pharma representatives, and they just said, "We're going to make you an offer you will not refuse." And so they showed up at ASEA in Salt Lake City, and they met with the Big Pharma representatives, and um, they made them the ridiculous offer of hundreds of millions of dollars. And they said, but under one condition: we are going to recall every single one of these bottles from all the families, and no one can have it. They
Oh,
were they
wow.
were gonna they were gonna buy it, and they wanted to bury it forever, like they do everything.
Right.
And ASEA said, "Well, you can't do that. Families are using this right now, and they need it." And they just said, "Who cares? People die all the time."
Oh, geez.
And so ASEA was like, "Yeah, you need to leave now." And so they had security escort them off the property, and they did not sell.
Huh.
And so today, 15, 14, 15 years later, they still exist. And yeah, the company is making huge waves and is starting to become known by universities and scientists all over the world, because they want to study redox. They want to understand what many call the biggest breakthrough in the health and wellness space that we've seen in our lifetime.
Right.
And
Can
so,
you explain the timing? Because I feel like where we're at, and I know you see us moving and what, why now? Like, why is it, why are we like, oh, ASEA, like, why have I been drinking it for like the last 10 years or 15, however long they've been, why has it taken so long? Why are we, is our awareness turned on to be like open to seeing that? Like, how do you see why it comes into your life at the time it does? I mean, you asked for something to help your sweet dog, and you listened and you looked at it as a sign, I'm going to follow that breadcrumb. A lot of people would just go, oh geez, another supplement. They don't tune into the, oh, I did ask and there it is, like, because that's how you are. But why now? Like, what do you see in that? Like, why are we being called for this right now?
I love this question. So one thing that we have to understand is everything that's happening over the last, let's say, just 20 years. I mean, look at the evolution of consciousness since the year 2000,
Hmm.
2001, 2002. I mean, what has happened in a short period of time in the last 20 years since the early 2000s and since 2010, since 2011, 12? 2012 is when we had the big harmonic convergence on this planet and everything started to kick into gear, if you will, leading us up to 2020.
Right,
And so in 2000, let's go to like 2009, 2010, most people had never even heard of meditation or yoga.
right.
Like what's happened in the health and wellness space, what's happening in the awakening of people's heart, soul, their body, their connection to their breath, their connection to nature. I mean, it's been at an accelerated rate that I don't think any of us could have ever comprehended 2 decades
Mm-mm.
ago.
No.
I mean, it is mind blowing to just sit back and reflect. So this technology was not ready to be known in by everyone in 2010, 2011, 2012. They started in 2009, 2010, and it's growing slowly at the exact perfect rate given the acceleration of ascension, and planetary evolution that we're going into right now in 2024. It's all happening perfectly. It's always happening perfectly.
Right,
Every single person that's coming into our field, God is working through that person, right? Your God is working through your husband, your wife, your kids to show you where you can look at yourself and continue to evolve and become and step into deeper embodiment.
right.
Everything is perfect. And so where ASEA is right now and the amount of people that are finding it, especially like in the health and wellness space and universities are like, holy, they actually stabilized redox signaling molecules outside of the human body. No way. Like, and so people are opening up research centers all over the world to study what they actually were able to do. And
Hmm.
the reason they were actually able to do this was Dr. Gary Samuelson. He's the one who received the angelic download, we'll call it, from the divine of the exact formula on how to stabilize the communication of our cells outside of the human body.
So he in 2000, like before 2010, but he explained, yeah, talk about that, about the founder that had the download. So he
Yeah.
was,
So he's not one of the founders. He's one of the scientists that they or doctors that they like hired to continue to work on redox. And yeah, they had been trying to stabilize because you can get redox signaling molecules. Someone could make redox signaling molecules at home, but they do
oh,
not work if you do not stabilize them. And that's why you can drink redox signaling molecules. Sorry, you can drink redox molecules, but it's useless if they're not stabilized. So the reason why this product is so extraordinary is because the stabilization of redox. So he was able to get that download and actually stabilize the redox. And when they did it, I mean, it sent shockwaves of they just couldn't believe that they had actually done it because they were trying to do it for 20 years almost.
hmm,
And they finally were like, okay, this is impossible. We just can't, this is never going to happen. And so, yeah, ASEA is the only company in the world with redox signaling molecules. They have the patent, so Big Pharma couldn't come in and destroy the company.
right.
And so, yeah, on that note, Redox, ASEA has divine protection, and they're not going anywhere for many decades to come.
So
So,
explain that. So explain the redox and how we all have those in our, we're made of that.
mm,
It's just
yeah,
as we get older, they aren't, they're not what? Explain why people, why it's so powerful.
yeah. So let's answer the question: what is redox? What are redoxively molecules? So, redox stands for reductant and oxidant, positive and negative charge of electrons, the flowing of electrons, the flowing of energy, life, the universe, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everything is energy. 99.9999999% of the entire universe is energy. And
Right.
so that's what redox is. It is essentially, we call it universal consciousness in a bottle. So let's talk about it. So once again, redox is reductant and oxidant, the positive and negative charge of electrons. Okay, so redox signaling molecules is the signaling or the communication of our cells. They're what allow two cells to talk to each other and to communicate. So when we drink redox signaling molecules, this is happening. This communication is up leveling like dramatically 60 trillion times within the body because we're made of 60 trillion cells.
Right.
So it's igniting a healing intelligence in the body that is, I mean, godly. It's very, very universal and not not near enough our doctors and MDs and surgeons talking about cellular health. It would make
Right.
sense that if we get our cells signaling, right, we're going to have dramatically better health. Okay, so essentially what's with the redox, there is a cascading effect. Like let's take a flock of geese. Those flock of geese are surrounded, one goose is surrounded by six other geese. So they are communicating with each other when they are flying in a perfect, this like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable how they fly. When
Right.
you watch them, they're like, oh my God, it's a, it's like a wave. It's just absolutely incredible. So every one of those geese are communicating in the 500. And that's exactly what's happening in the body. It's just a cellular universal communication of all 60 trillion cells. And redox is light. That's what it is. It's energy. It's light. And most people are dying at so young, from like 51 years old from a stroke, or 59 from a heart attack. One, the biggest reason why people are dying so early, well, we know why. One of those reasons is from the jab.
Right.
Number two reason is because people are lacking prana. They're lacking energy. The body living in this poisonous world with the chemtrails, with the endless, the moment we walk into a grocery store, we are breathing in hundreds of chemicals just
Mm-hmm.
just in a 30-minute period when we go shopping. There's so many chemicals, especially if we go into a really toxic store, like let's say like Target, for example. I
Right.
mean, the amount of toxicity in a store like that is just, oh my God. I mean, we need to do a detox just when we're in a store like that for 40 minutes.
Right.
Uh, and that's not just in a store like that. That's when we're filling up petrol, when we're being bombarded by chemtrails. When we're filling it, yeah, once again, we're breathing in the petrol fumes when we're filling up our gas tank. So, yeah, there's toxicity everywhere. And as we know, our water is poisoned, our food is fake. So we have to, in order to be healthy and a fully embodied human, we need to biohack our way into good health.
Right.
Eating organic herbs and vegetables, sorry to tell you guys listening to this, it's not enough for what we're going through right now. We are in a spiritual war. We are in spiritual warfare. And so every single thing that we can do to embody the highest level of truth of who we are, that is our biggest sacred rebellion against the systems that seek to enslave us. And it all starts with health.
Mm-hmm.
And redox is literally the centerpiece, the master conductor of trillions of transactions happening in your body on a daily basis.
Wow. Tell me, like I was watching videos and these testimonials are like amazing. I mean, your dog for one, but like since you've started like really, being surrounded by these people that are using it and now the people that are the founders and you're, what you've been deep in it for the last couple of years. So what have you seen happen? Like, what are some really amazing testimonials?
Yeah. I mean, the list is so long. We have a group on Facebook called Healthy Self. And in there is, oh my God, 240,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And there's thousands and thousands of testimonials of, I mean, you look at some of the before and after of these like 62-year-old women, and they're just, really sick looking, lethargic. And then they drink ASEA and they're using the Renew 28 gel, which is just the Redox in gel form.
Right.
And these people go from 62 to 45 in literally six months. It doesn't even look like the same person.
Hmm.
And that is because, right, that's the work that the ASEA is doing on the DNA. The 60% upregulation in the genes, it's putting light in the body, and it is literally getting into the DNA, which is reversing people's age.
Right.
Not like some people say this is age reversal, and it's literally just a sales tactic. It's not actually doing that. A lot of people are just very inauthentic with what they say just so they can make sales.
Right.
ASEA is actually reversing people's age. And we have the bio labs. When doctors look at people's labs, they're like, I mean, they're calling all the doctors in the office in because they can't believe what they're seeing when they
Wow.
see someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or even 90s. When they drink ASEA for 6 months to a year, what it does inside their body and reversing time because of the work, once again, that it's doing in the NRF2 gene pathway, which is connected to many other gene pathways, opening up the lymphatic drainage system and the detox pathways. And it is getting into, right, the universe. What is our DNA? Our DNA is the God code.
Right.
It's the genetic blueprint to the entire universe of every single action, every word you've ever spoken. It's a literally a God library of your existence on a soul level. A lot of people do not understand this connection to our DNA and why it's so significant. Why the dark forces tried to alter our DNA with it's because they wanted to stop the ascension. And so, guess what Redox does when we're talking about the jab? I'm not going to go out and just outright say it, but you can figure it out. So, if you do have some family members who have been jabbed, yes, you definitely want to know about Redox for sure.
Right.
Because what it does is, yeah, big. And so Redox will be a staple in where we're going to, because people cannot evolve if they don't get their health in alignment first. It's not possible. You
Right.
cannot step into God level embodiments, and we are God embodied. We are a manifestation of God. If
Right.
that triggers someone, that's only because you, you got some work to do to discover who you truly are. And that is an infinitely powerful being. You are so much more powerful than you were ever led to believe. We have more infinite power within our pinky finger than we can even begin to fathom.
Mm-hmm.
And we are continuing to learn that. So basically, while we're in this body, actually, I'm going to get really cosmic here. This is the first time on Earth that we are moving from a 3D carbon-based body to a crystalline light structured body.
Right.
And if we're talking on a really spiritual level, and this might be beyond the scope of some people listening, and that's okay if it is, I
I
invite you
doubt
to,
it. I doubt it. You
yeah,
talk like that.
yeah, right. Yeah, that is true. A lot of your audience is totally on this frequency. So this we are moving from a 3D carbon-based body to a crystalline light structured body. Okay, so one of the number one primary reasons the dark forces infiltrated this planet was through our consciousness, was through our body, through poisoning the waters, through convincing that eating a bag of Cheetos is food. It's not
Right.
food. It's fake. It's not actually food, but it looks like food and it tastes good and it smells like food. It's not food. All the fast foods on the corner, the Wendy's and McDonald's, none of it's food. It's all fake, right?
Right.
But for people who do not have connection to God, believe and have been programmed to believe that that's food. And so when we purify our body and we remove all the energetic blockages, when we bring light into the body, which is what redox is doing, we activate this divine cellular communication of 60 trillion cells with this 5 to 800% increase in glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. And
Right.
when I've done fasts on ASEA, or when I've drinking a bottle of ASEA per day, we say 5 to 800%. It's actually way more than that when we're
Hmm.
drinking a bottle of it per day. So these statistics are just mind blowing. If you don't understand what glutathione is, I invite you to just, do a little bit of research and understand it further. But it's working with the mitochondria. So what it's doing with the genes, with the light it's putting in the body, with this communication of 60 trillion cells, redox is the communication network. Once again, it's the master conductor, it's the chief. So if you're taking spirulina, chlorella, reishi mushroom, all these things are great.
Hmm.
They're fantastic. And it's the world we're leaving behind, right?
Right.
We're coming into a crystalline light structured body where will come to a point where our food will be the energy from the river, where our food will
Hmm.
be the energy from the sun. And that is where we're moving in many decades from now. So
Right.
this might be beyond the scope, and allow this to just be received and take it if it resonates. But yeah, this is what I've received. And so redox has shown up during this time to aid us in moving into this crystalline light structured body because of what it's doing on a spiritual level, in a multidimensional level. And that is why when I explain it to more ancient souls, it
Hmm.
resonates. They're like, oh yeah, I totally feel this, and I want to get involved. I want to take
Right.
it to my family, and I want to share it with everyone in my massage therapy practice, my Reiki practice, my acupuncture. But when I explain it to more of the, yeah, earthly souls, and once again, there's no better or worse. No one is better or
Right.
worse. Everyone's just where they're at. Okay.
Exactly.
There's no better or worse, or like, oh, he's more, that. It's just everyone's just where they're at. And it's okay. It's beautiful. But when I explain it to more of my colleagues in the health freedom space, for example, it just goes right over because
Right.
they have not developed that level of intuition in their body to be able to feel
So true. Oh, I
into
totally
the
get that.
frequency of redox. It just misses them, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's where they're at in their evolution. But as people continue to wake up, and this continues to be known by and used by hundreds of millions of families all over the world, people will continue to click in to
Hmm.
this frequency of redox. Because yeah, there's not a single human on the planet that does not need redox in order to thrive.
Right.
Every single person on the planet from the age of 10, 11, 12, going back to what you touched on at the beginning of the conversation, when we reach the age of 50, 55, 60, we're producing less and less redox every single year. So when we hit the age of 50, we're producing about 50% less the amount of redox as, let's say, a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old. So you put redox into the field of someone who's 85 and not very mobile. I mean, like you had pointed to, Ashley, the testimonials are just like mind blowing. At times you can't even
Huh.
believe the transformation. Like I almost think it's like I'm so blown away by how they looked before and what they look like now. And they're like, yeah, check me out. And they're like throwing a baseball with their grandson at 74
Oh,
years old. And before they were in a wheelchair and they were
wow.
using a feeding tube
Oh my gosh,
and they were on the
Andrew.
couch.
Wow.
I
I
mean, like
believe it. I've
literally.
totally believed. It's like when you're talking about like multidimensional and it's like go there because I'm so fascinated by because I feel like what this is doing, why it's in my life or you're in our life right now, and why we're talking about it at this exact moment is it's like we're remembering. I don't know. It's like I feel there's something coming to me right now. I do my automatic writing. That's where I channel, right? I keep getting crystalline and drinking and water. You got to drink more water, Ashley. Crystalline energy. And when you said that word, I go, oh my gosh, I wrote that the other day. A few times I've written it lately. But I feel like this redox was we look at time linearly. um, so as a human, but when we look at it, everything is happening right now.
Mm.
That something came to me when you're saying that. I was like, that's what we're remembering, that. Like there's something that we always had that, but now that we've come down to this density and have had the dark forces, like you say, to have the contrast, right? And now we're getting to that space where we're moving to the next dimension. And this redox is going to lead us. I mean, tell me that, like I was picturing when you were talking about that, these people drinking that, invigorating their cells, becoming healthier, moving into this next, is it pushing them into that next dimension, like into that crystalline body?
Mm.
Is that because I know that's where we're going, and I with you on that, and I know the ones that you say goes right over their head, and that's fine. They're not supposed to have that yet. They're on their learning their journey. Um, will we start having uh more, our opening our um all of our clairvoyant, like all of our abilities? Will this open that, like the all the other beings and the planets, and I feel like they're already there, right? We're just trying to catch up. And I don't know, that's just, it came to me like all the other planets that have life, that are living in that dimension or and above, are already there, but we're just figuring that out now in this time, in this human body.
So many of you that are very deep on the path might be just reflecting on the intensity of the last couple months. I mean, the alchemical transformation that's happening right now is to a depth that's just it's unreal.
The alchemical.
Yeah, the alchemical process of just transformation and transmutation, the releasing of density is what we're doing right now. We're releasing
Okay.
density through our vessel, and so doing things such as breath work and plant medicine and certain other psychedelics, or whatever that you may be guided to, things like ASEA are helping us to release that density because we're pouring ancient remembrance into the body.
Yes. Ah,
And
got it. That's what
yes,
I could get it. Get it. Yes, yes, yes.
and that's what ASEA is. It
Huh.
is a ancient galactic technology. It's an ancient galactic product. When people look at it and just think, oh, that's just another product, that's because they simply just don't know what it is, and they're not
Right.
able to connect into the frequency. And once again, everyone's where they're at. It's all right. But yeah, some people who have a certain level of intuition, they connect into it straight away because they feel that godly frequency that if you were to look out your window right now, all the trees, everything that you see, none of it would be there without redox. It's
Right.
very, very unique frequency. And so this product has come back during this time to aid us in this shift of consciousness, because we're not gonna go out on the streets. Our role here as ancient souls is not to go out in the streets and be like, take down Biden. That's not our work. This is a very old way of doing things. You cannot change the systems by fighting the systems that never worked in the first place.
Right.
We are here to evolve from within. We are here to realize the God within. We are here to work together and harmonize together. Union, unification, reunion. It's what this now moment is all about. And so, really, redox in essence is all about bringing the body back to balance, back to homeostasis, bringing light into the body, getting into the DNA and who we are on a multidimensional level. And it's really just imagine if you were swimming in a river, going downstream and you're just cruising, and then going upstream is much more difficult.
Right.
And that's how kind of most people are living right now on the earth. They're swimming upstream every single day of their life because they can't show up for their family because they're constantly sick and dealing with chronic health issues and migraines. And I mean, gosh, I worked with a 37-year-old mom who literally was deathly afraid that she was going to leave her two little children behind. Young,
Hmm.
young, young lady, very young, in her late 30s. And she reached out to me and was like, "Hey, Andrew, I know that I was guided to you at this time she's like, I'm having blood clots in both of my legs, and I'm freaking out. And so yeah, we got her the Redox, and she's not even the same person today.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She sent me videos of her rock climbing on this giant mountain. I mean, it changed her life in a way that, I mean, she was laying on her couch for hours every day, just scared to death, not even really able to even like be a mom or work or anything. I mean, she was in serious crisis.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. As soon as she messaged me, I was like, this is going to change this woman's life so much. It's going to be so profound. And literally within not even 2 weeks, she was like, the stuff that's happening within my body, like, I can't even describe how grateful and excited I am for you just speaking up and like sharing this. And I
Wow.
just said, I'm humbled and incredibly honored to be of service in this way and to
Right.
just share my passion for something that's changed my life so much. Literally not long ago, one of the sisters who's also got involved in the mission, her mom had a deathly cough for 43 years. 43 years, like an
Wow.
entire lifetime. She was only on ASEA for 6 weeks. The cough is completely gone. She canceled her eye surgery appointment because she was like, oh, I don't need to go anymore.
Oh
And
my
and this is a
gosh.
woman in her 70s, and her health is just going to a place that, I mean, she hasn't literally had since she was like a young woman.
Huh. But
And
you
she's
know,
in her,
like
go ahead.
she what? No, I was just saying,
She's in her 70s. So yeah,
wow.
she's just a whole different person. And this is what we see from people all over the world. And once again, we have real redox results. The password is lowercase redox. 500 incredible testimonials on that website alone, and Healthy Self has 240,000 people in it with just thousands and thousands of testimonials. And a lot of the great testimonials, guess what? We don't even know about them because people don't tell them. So there are so many incredible testimonials that would just blow your mind. And I would love to be able to say a lot of the testimonials of what they actually were going through, and say
Right.
the word, but we're not there yet. In our
Right.
planet's evolution, we will be in a couple years. So we can't say this is what it was and it did this.
Right.
We have to kind of dance around when we see someone who couldn't remember where they were, couldn't remember their husband's name, 75 years old, was losing all of their memory and their motor function. Like, we know what this is, but we can't say what it is. So yeah, we see these people completely remit that and become a person that's truly, the results are just astonishing, really.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, being passionate about health, I would have been very inauthentic and out of integrity if I did not share this with the world, because I really believe that we all deserve to thrive. We all deserve to be healthy. We all deserve to be prosperous and abundant. And none of it can happen without our health. It all
Exactly.
starts with our health. And
Right.
those of you who are listening to this, you can reflect back on your life when you lost your health and it was just chaos. It was so, so, so tough. I've been there. I lost my health, and it was the hardest it was the hardest 5, 6 months of my life, just not knowing if I was like dying from some rare disease or something like that. And I just had to give it over to God. And it was a really intense time. So I have that incredible gratitude for my health, that we're not supposed to do something once we're sick. We're supposed to do something right now, so we
Exactly.
can step into deeper levels of embodiment and allow our auric field to be healthy, our energetic body to be healthy, our physical body to be healthy, and allow everything to function at its max capacity, so we can hold this ancient remembrance within every cell of our vessel.
How do you think the guy that got the download, the scientist, who did he get the download from? What do you believe?
Hmm. So I don't know, because I've never actually spoken with Dr. Gary Samuelson. And I'm not sure. I would imagine maybe he's told a couple people, and there's a possibility that maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know Dr. Gary Samuelson personally, but I salute him for being the conduit for this to happen, because, yeah, my God, it's just changed my life in such a profound, profound way. And I mean, on so many levels that I can even get into on a conversation. But one of the things that I love the most about ASEA is just who ASEA is.
Right. Me too. When I
They,
watch the videos, they're
yeah,
just, yeah, I just feel, I told you when when I talked to you, I said, I've been watching them, um, on they're the people, what do you call them? The founders, the guys that
yeah,
have been with them from the beginning. And they're just like these guys that just real. And I just connected so much. And so I came home and I was listening to it on my walk. And I was telling Richard, I'm like, that stuff that we drink every day, I know you don't know why you're drinking it, but it's legit. Like you should hear these. It's so um inspiring to know that people the what who they are. And I feel like you're a reflection of that. So I
mm,
like, I
thank
don't
you.
think you would, like talk so much about someone or something if it wasn't really true and authentic and real, so you're like the reflection of that. But yes, it was, and that's where I feel like and like I said earlier, like I'm healthy and I just love to know that I'm doing something to maintain that, right? Like I don't know any difference besides maybe I'm more, connected. There's just, I know I'm doing something and he knows he's doing something every morning. I tried it with the girls. They're like, Mom, it tastes like chlorine. But oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Does it, on one of the calls, they were saying by the time your pH level is better, you don't just it just tastes like water, and it does that to me now. It doesn't taste like chlorine anymore.
Yeah. So the technology is so profound that a lot of people obviously living in the world, especially in somewhere like America, but everywhere, their bodies are extremely toxic. I mean,
Right.
inundated with heavy metals, parasites, mold, uh, right? Like just pesticides, insecticides. And so when they drink ASEA, they'll be like, oh, it's strong. Well, that's because their body is extremely toxic and the technology is reflecting, mirroring back to them how toxic their body is.
Ah, yes.
So basically, if we were radiating pure angelic light, the the product would have virtually no taste whatsoever. So basically, however strong the taste is just showing you how much work you need to do.
Right.
So for a lot of people who take it, sometimes people will say, people often say they gravitate towards the redox because of just their body knows it wants it. Everybody wants redox. We're all made of redox. And so, yeah, the taste gets easier for people who are extremely toxic and have lots of chemicals and pesticides inside their body. So when they reach like week 3, week 4, week 5, they'll be like, "Wow, it's actually getting dramatically easier."
Oh,
You know?
totally easy.
Yeah,
Like I just remember at the beginning going, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this." But
yeah,
I then it made sense because I said, "Wow, this it doesn't taste bad anymore. Maybe I'm just used to it."
right,
But it was my body getting rid of the toxins, and now
yeah,
it's right.
yeah. It's just the body purifying what's not organic. What's not meant to be there. And yeah, I've only had, I think out of 300, I don't even 387 people or something like that, I've only had one person ever say they couldn't drink it. So it
Yeah.
it doesn't, and people are not really bothered by it, but there was that one very picky lady that that couldn't do it.
Oh,
But
funny.
I just say, for anyone who ever does say anything, and it's pretty rare, I just say, look, just go beyond the taste and understand that what this is doing for you on a spiritual level and on a multidimensional level and for evolution is 100,000 times the taste. And they're like, okay, got
Oh,
it.
believe me. Yeah. Oh, I'll drink it. I don't care. Like I just sit there and have my shots. And I'm like, oh, I know this is way more
Yeah.
powerful of what I'm doing than if
It's
it,
like, do we really need to have everything taste like an ice cream sundae?
right.
Everything? No.
Well, my girls think that. So that's why I was like, girls, I really want you to start drinking this with me. So I had them have it and they're like, Mom, it's like drinking pool water. And I said, no. And then I told him earlier or later after I realized, well, then you're probably toxic and if you're now like me and kept drinking it, you wouldn't have a taste of any chlorine of it, anything.
And think
But
about it, right? Our kids are extremely toxic too. They
oh, totally.
they're also breathing in the endless chemtrails and plane exhaust and car exhaust. So, it's not like a 9-year-old is exempt from needing to purify their body. So yeah, ASEA can also be a game changer for, children that are, let's say, on the spectrum, kids who have been injured from, you put it together. Uh, and yeah, our kids are also living in a very toxic world. So they can also function at a much higher capacity and much more clarity and much more connected to their body and their own intuition and to God. You're right. These little souls, these young souls are also on the journey, even
Right.
at 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. So yeah, it can also help them continue to be more connected and be less moody. And yeah, we also see amazing results with kids too with the Redox. Again, a breastfeeding mom can take it. A woman who's pregnant can take it. It literally can't, anything that your body wouldn't use just reverts back into saline, which is what you're made of. You're made of
Right.
saline, you're made of redox, and we're all made of redox. All life is redox, and our body is a redox signaling system. So yeah, that's what I love about it so much. And the big thing that also pulled me was, wow, I finally found something my mom can't say no to. With the plethora of pharmaceutical drugs and antidepressants she's been on for, many years, she couldn't say no to this
Mm.
because it has zero contraindications, zero toxicity, and zero allergies. So I was really, really excited about that when I first got introduced to it. And then, of course, we saw amazing things happen to just her mood and her health and her frozen shoulder that she couldn't even lift above here. Well, she can go like that. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, for like 17 years too. Wasn't a small injury. She's had it for almost 2 decades. And so that was just incredible. And so I also felt just so grateful that she was also able to improve her health and her mood. And things were awakening spiritually for her when she started on the journey, because all that's also what it does. It can be the catalyst for someone's spiritual awakening when they get
Right.
the redox, because how much universal consciousness is an ancient remembrance is pouring into the body.
Right. Well, I think because I've been drinking more of it um, since I learned that I needed to drink more. And I feel like, gosh, probably for the last 2 months, I've been drinking more. Um, I do feel like I'm more in alignment with my intuition and my like divine. I mean, I look at my writings and I'm like, whoa, well, who's writing that? Not me.
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, so think about this, everyone. The body is energy. It's light. It's an energetic highway, for example. Most people have an immense amount of stoppages and traffic and so many cars and energetic blockages. And redox is really just getting everything to boom, 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 just work far more efficiently. So that is why people will say, "Hey Andrew, do you think it's the redox why I don't feel depressed anymore? I feel like so much more hopeful. I'm feeling more confident." It's like, of course. It's all
Right.
connected. Our health is connected to consciousness and is the centerpiece to everything we do. So it would make sense that, right, if we're putting more light in cellular communication, the work it's doing in the DNA, then yeah, of course it's going to be a huge catalyst to breaking out of sadness and depression and just feeling more connected to the all.
When do you think when do you think ASEA is going to be, have you like done your intuition and seeing it like all on the shelves and in everybody's house and we're
Mm.
all just drinking this and it's just the way of life? Is it
Yeah.
going to take a while, do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in about 5 years, by the time we hit like 2029, I think it's going to be known by everyone. I think everyone will know this name ASEA. That's what I feel. Everyone will know the name Redox, and people will realize the people that said, "Oh, this doesn't really resonate for me," will realize, "Oh my gosh, that would literally be like I don't resonate with my breath. You don't
Right.
resonate with your breath, you'd be dead without your breath. What are you talking about?"
Right. Right.
And so saying I don't resonate with redox is saying you don't resonate with life itself.
Right.
And I have compassion because we don't learn any of these things in school. right? We don't learn
Exactly.
anything of actual value in school, like connecting to nature, foraging mushrooms, learning how the body functions and works, learning about our health, learning how to take care of our health and be our own advocate, right? Take control of our life, starting businesses, all of these things that are actual value. So I get why people don't know the term redox. No doctor knows that they might have heard of the term redox, but they don't know about it because they just learned how to be like, you have this symptom and we're going to give you this pill, right? Which obviously does absolutely nothing for health because that's not how the human body works.
Right.
The body is an intricate, connected system, and something that's going on in the shoulder is connected to the toe. It's all connected. And so that leads me to redox is making that connection. It's the communication network. And once again, it's the master conductor. Visualize a football field. We're watering the entire football field when we're drinking redox. When we're taking chlorella, spirulina, and reishi, we're watering the end zone of a football field.
Mm.
It's just a portion of the field.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just so much bigger, and it takes one to be able to tune into that frequency to see it and feel it.
Right. Oh, Andrew, this has been so fun. I've been wanting because I really want to share it with my world because I feel so just like you. I mean, I could talk about it too. It's like when you say, if I said it to, when I see somebody that doesn't feel well and I'm thinking, oh, I got to show them the ASEA. Like that's the first thing that
Yeah.
comes into my mind, or someone that's like struggling with something. I'm like, oh, they need the ASEA. Do you just like, how do you do that? Like,
The
before
the
you,
the woman who was doing braids in my hair a couple weeks ago, she was like, "Can I ask you? You just look so bright and healthy and connected, and your hair is so healthy. You're like, like what do you do?" And I just said, "See ya." And she was like, "I want to know about it and I want to get it as soon as possible. Can
oh,
you explain to me what it is?" So didn't even ask like what she literally was like, "Whatever you're doing, I want
I
to
want to do, right?
do."
I love
So
that.
yeah, I just explained it to her like in a couple of minutes, really briefly, and yeah, she was like, "I want to get it tonight. Can you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then so I sent her a Zoom link via email and we signed her up literally that day.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. But see, she's in alignment with it. You know what I mean? I get that. It's like when you're explaining it to somebody and it just like slips right over, like there they go, like they don't get it. They'll be the
yeah,
ones, a few years from now when it's everywhere. Oh, that was that blue bottle that I was
yeah.
introduced to a few years ago that I,
Totally. So yeah, I just did a video on ASEA on my Instagram page yesterday. And when I do a message like that, it's not for the people who judge it or don't understand it. It's for the people who really need it,
right,
right? God has put those people in my path to help them, to help their mom, to help their son that's constantly being bullied and made fun of in school because he's just got all these gut issues and he's reacting and he's having a hard time because yeah, he's going crazy in his emotions because of all the heavy metals and injuries from whatever it may be.
right,
But I feel if I did not share it, when I hear someone say it doesn't take very long to talk to someone who's sick or someone in their family member just died or they're
right,
just coming from the hospital. Everyone's sick right now.
right,
We live in a planet full of billions of sick people, so it's very easy to share, and it
right,
works for any human on the planet. And
right.
the new earth economy is all about us working together and harmonizing together and
Yes.
co-creating together. People who have people who have programs and distortions from the NLM, it's only because they're running off programs and they don't
Right.
understand the power of residual income and community and working together. And that we have single moms all over the world that have a six-figure business. And this week they just put in 8 hours into their business.
That's
But
amazing.
within that first 36 months, they were they were fired up and determined to get this into as many families as possible. So the first 36 months they hustled and they built this business, and now they get to be and do whatever they want.
Right.
While having this incredible business, having a community, having instead of having two hands as a Reiki practitioner or massage therapist doing six clients a day, these women are so burnt out and exhausted they don't have any energy. They don't have
Hmm.
any energy for their husband to be intimate with their partner, for their family, because they're just tired. They don't have any more to give. And so with the structure of business, it's so much more in the frequency of the new earth that we are calling in, because it's so much more feminine and flowing and
Hmm.
timeless. And once again, it's very supportive for people to have the community and be like, "Hey, brother, are you working on that video you're editing for the team? Sweet. Okay, who's really good at this? Who's everyone's offering and co-creating and working together, and it's just really epic. It's what we are here to do.
Right.
So I also invite anyone that's listening to this conversation to also come in with a humble, open heart to constantly be cracked open to what you think you know in this now moment. And the NLM structure, right? This next level marketing or NLM is going to play a huge role in the New Earth economy because residual income, multi-dimensional income is so much more powerful than someone at a desk going
Right.
and getting and literally three people making hundreds of millions of dollars while everyone literally gets scraps.
Right.
That is not the world that we're creating. The world
Right.
that we're creating is us working together and taking back this planet through creating our own economy. And
Right.
that's and this NLM structure is going to play a huge role in that.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, Andrew, it's been so fun. I love watching you get all fired up with something that you believe in
Mhm.
so much. I get it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. There's a when I speak, there's love coming through, and there's a certain level of intensity that's coming through when a message is just moving through me. And that's yeah, it grabs people. And
Yeah.
when I say like for talking about like that might bring up a trigger for people with the NLM structure. I have so much empathy and compassion for you if that was like in your chest, because I too in 2020 and even like 2021 as when I broke out of it, I was like the NLM structure is garbage, it doesn't work, it's just a triangle pyramid thing. Yeah, the old companies that the dark forces planted to believe us that this does not work. When you get a company like ASEA that's of high integrity and has one of the most extraordinary products in the world, ace. Like this is exactly what we're here to do and work together. So right, once again, we everything's been manipulated and infiltrated. So we have
Right.
to like understand and be humble that God, we are just we're all students. I'm a student. I'm continuing to learn every single day of all the distortions that I chose to take on.
Right.
So yeah, I just believe in ASEA so deeply. I believe in the business structure so deeply. And I just everything that they stand for is just love. They stand for love. They stand for truth. They stand for people. They stand
Right.
for integrity. And this company will literally lose tens of thousands of dollars before they will choose people before money any single day. And I
Hmm.
love that
Yeah, I
because
do too.
the new earth that we are creating is the age of integrity. That's what it's all about.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Okay, Andrew. So how do we what are we doing? How do we find you? What do they can contact me. I can put it in the show notes, how they can get ASEA.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, all the, everyone knows how to find me. So
Yeah, you can
find
find me at
me.
andrewgenevesehealing.com or at Breathe Heal Evolve on Instagram, or the Redox page is redox.light.legends. And so you
Perfect.
can find me at either of those places, and Ashley will have the links below. And yeah, just reach out to Ashley, or you can also reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer questions. Um, and so yeah, I'm just honored and delighted to be able to share something that's just rocked my entire world in the best possible way. And I really do believe that every family in the world who has a cell phone or a laptop deserves to know about this mission, about this ASEA Redox mission. So yeah, I'm just very humbled to always just share something that's been so huge in my spiritual evolution.
Yeah, I love it. This is only the beginning.
Oh yes. Baby stages, literally.
Episode 3 will be like, what happened? I mean, I still feel that way from when we had our first interview. Like, whoa, Andrew, huge difference in your life. Just think of the next episode. Watch out, people.
Yeah,
Oh,
it'll be
thank
a
you,
different
Andrew.
world then.
Yes, it will be a different world. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
So welcome.